What is going on? How's everybody doing? Uh, we are going to talk about today, or in this video, we're going to talk about one of all of our favorite topics, I'm assuming. Sex. Good old sex. Um, and I don't want to talk about, we're going to talk about it in a scientific way, but we're not going to talk about it with like health class. I'm going to try to give it a different I'm going to give it a different view than you've heard in your health class. But we're going to be talking about a little health class, and we're also going to be talking about a little porn, and we're just going to get into this great subject. Yesterday I tried to, but my daughter showed up, and my daughter's only 3. Though I'll be telling her the same information, I will not be so candid about sex to her this early. There's no need for that. So let's talk about sex, which was one of my favorite songs back in the day. For some reason, it's a taboo subject in our society. Sex. I don't know why it's a taboo subject. We all have it. We all engage in it. But for some reason, it's a taboo subject. But I have I have a working theory as to why it is a taboo subject. And my goal with this video and for broaching this subject is because I realize it is because of a misunderstanding of sex, of the act of sex, why there is so much pedophilia in this country as well as the world, why there is so much rape as well, or sexual assaults, as well as maybe even war, maybe. It all goes back to sex. It seems like that plays a major role in the destruction of society. Now, first off, sex is the fundamental point to sex is reproduction. That's the fundamental point to sex. The fundamental, the rubric, what it all hinges on is the fact of reproduction. If it wasn't for the point of reproduction, there wouldn't even be sex. I will repeat that line. If it wasn't for the purpose of reproduction, the function of reproduction, there would be no sex. That's fact. And let me tell you why that's fact. If you'll notice, all creatures are mandated to reproduce. I don't care whether it's a tree, grass, it's a lion, a whale, a bird, a human being. We all are mandated to reproduce. We don't have a choice in that. That's a mandate from nature. Nature gave us that mandate. Nature gave us that function. Nature gave us that algorithm that we have to adhere to. And the purpose of it is to reproduce, is to continue the line of generations, or continue life, to continue life of your specific species. Some species don't even have to have sex with another member of their species. They can reproduce on their own as an individual, as an individual member of that species. Those species are called asexual. Now, when it comes to us specifically, because we participate in so much, why we have such a perversion of sex, which is why it's kept taboo in our society, which is why I'm fully 100% of the mindset that the government is behind this. And dun 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 dun. Listen, I tell you is a conspiracy theory. Everything I tell you, I've sat and thought deeply about, because I'm trying to find solutions. You know what I mean? I don't like talking for my health. I don't like complaining. I like to think of solutions. And especially when I hear there's no solution, that something's impossible, that, I don't know what it does to anybody else, but that turns me on. I love to hear about something impossible. You know what I mean? When I hear that something's impossible to do and they associate it towards me, it just tells me, all right, this is a challenge. This is a challenge, and I've got to rise up to it. First off, I want to salute my boy Jamar. You know what I mean? Jamar Freeman. You know what I mean? Because that's a free mind right there. You know what I mean? That's why I call him Jamar Freeman. You know what I mean? He's like Morgan. He's a free man. He's like my boys, and he's like the blacks that went to Liberia. You know what I mean? They got a free mind. But getting back to the topic. You know what I mean? The reason why I believe there's bestiality, the reason why I believe there's rape, the reason why I believe there's pedophilia so prevalent in our society, because the old men in our country who rule our country want it that way. First off, I love how Christians love to speak against homosexuality when Jesus never says anything against homosexuality. In the Bible, he says something about sexual immorality. But I've already stated in another video that is so vague, and that the things that Jesus said, that they say Jesus said, do not make sense, because they do not, the actions within the Bible and his actual words that they say he said in the Bible, they do not correlate. The same thing when it comes to look at this is proven by the first 4 books of the Bible: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These guys, for all 4 guys having hung around Jesus and witnessed the same thing that happened, is it me? Or do these guys like really were they playing telephone? You know what I mean? Like, it's like one of them told what happened to the other one, and then the other one told what happened to the other one. And by the time it got down to the last disciple, he completely changed around what the first disciple said. Because none of these guys' stories about Jesus match up. That's the thing I want you to notice. Second, the reason why I say the old people of this country want, especially the men, the old men especially, the old women, they're just so programmed they don't know any better. You know what I mean? They're so conditioned they don't know any better. But the reason why I say that the old men in this country like the country the way it is, they like this sexual deviant behavior. They like pedophilia and rape and sexual assaults and bestiality, is because they already have knowledge of what sex is actually about, yet they continue to keep sex a taboo subject within the country. If you keep something taboo, that automatically makes people curious. And due to us having built a whole industry, like the porn industry is huge. It's a huge, huge industry all around the taboo of sex. Now, if you didn't have that taboo, do you think they could have a porn industry? Think about that. The fundamental point to sex, especially in particular for humans, because I don't want to stress the other ones. We'll stick to just human sex today. The fundamental point to sex for humans is reproduction. That's the reason why we've been taught that it's about we've been taught that it's about pleasure. We've been taught that it's about self-gratification. But really, that's not the case. And let me tell you why. It doesn't matter the size of a man's penis. It doesn't matter how wet a girl gets. It doesn't matter how pretty or how aroused a girl makes you. It doesn't matter how many orgasms a female gets that she credits you to, that she credits to you. Because really, you're not the person that gives her the arousal. That's her own mind. It's all a mind trick. You know what I mean? I don't know how about it. When I have sex, it's a mental mind trick. You know what I mean? Like, during that moment of sex, when sex, they call it the heat of passion, my intelligence is completely gone. I have no intellect whatsoever. I start saying things that at that time, at that moment in time in sex, I absolutely sincerely mean. I 100% sincerely mean. It's like a drug. You know what I mean? It's like a real um, immersive drug because you're so immersed in the moment that you will tell someone that you absolutely don't care about that you love them. You will tell someone that you will say you just saying all kinds of crazy things. You know what I mean? And unfortunately for me, I watched a lot of porn as a kid. You know what I mean? I don't watch it now. You know what I mean? Because I've memorized so much as a and I'll say not as a child, like my parents are the ones who did it. I used to sneak to my cousin's house, and he had these books behind a mirror. I mean, he didn't know that we knew, but I knew there was something in his room, and we were determined to find it because that's what we were curious kids, me and my brothers. So we like spread out around the room, and he like somewhere. You know what I mean? Like my cousin was like a ladies' man. So you know what I mean? We just wanted to be cool like him, especially me. I wanted to be cool like my cousin. You know what I mean? I I'll put a name to cousin Brian. You know what I mean? I'll say that. That's all I need to say about him. He was such a ladies' man. He was so smooth, such a smooth talker. I was just like in awe of this dude, and he was a sick basketball player. You know what I mean? So I knew, all right, to get the girls, I need to learn how to play basketball. I just assumed that. So I got one of my goals. But then you get into like the locker room in middle school, and it's like suddenly out of nowhere, because it was like this in elementary school. Sixth grade, I didn't get no pressure about sex. But it's like the moment I got to middle school, all of a sudden, like I don't know what, it's like a switch went on in all these dudes. You get to the locker room and we got to talk about girls all of a sudden. It's like everything about girls, and it's, oh, did you kiss her? Did you this? Did you touch her hair? Did you touch that? I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I mean? Why I gotta do all that? And then I'm thinking, oh, logic should prevail. No, 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 no. Logic did not prevail. That's why when Trump said what he had said on us and accredited it to locker room talk, I 100% agree with him. There's no doubt about that. That is locker room talk. That's going on in all the locker rooms in this country. It's about sex. It's about, they put pressure on you. It forces you to lie about having sex with females that you didn't even have sex with or even thought about in that way. If you just try to walk home with a girl or just try to be friends with a girl, your friends are always there, or people who know you are just there to try to like pressure you. Her friends are there pressuring her. You know what I mean? And you're just like, what? Why? What does it matter? Why is there this? They put such a large premium on it. That was probably the first peer pressure that I felt was for that. Or no, you know what? It was trying to learn to talk English. That was probably my first um, peer pressure moment. Um, yeah, but sex is definitely one of those big peer pressure moments. And I just knew there was something wrong with it. There was something wrong about pressuring people. So of course you eventually they wear you down. Because I'm telling you, this is like constant. It is constant, constant, constant. And I would say this much. I was like a great student until sex kept being like pushed on me. I was a great student in school, man. I used to make honor roll all like elementary and even into a little bit into middle school. But right there is where I'd say around 8th grade is where I just started falling off. Because then it became I needed to be cool. I needed to back these people up off of me. You know what I mean? Like it was such an onslaught of peer pressure when it came to that I just said, you know what, I would just start answering anything I thought they'd want to hear just to shut them up and keep them off of me. I would start, I lost interest in being smart and being an honor roll student and pleasing my mom, and started thinking I needed to please this crowd, this peer pressure support, because I'd tell my mom and my mom just wouldn't understand. Like my mom thought it was like some easy solution, oh, pray about it, or you know what I mean, just ignore them. Like, yeah, I tried to, but how can you ignore people that are constantly with you, class to class to class, You know what I mean? And even if you get away from them, there's a whole nother group they're the same exact way. So that's when I look back at it now, oh man, that's systemic. That's structural. That's not even the kids. They're being taught that from the adults. This is from the top down. This isn't peer pressure coming from the bottom up, from the kids up, because kids really don't know this stuff. It's not until they get around adults that adults start putting this stuff in their head. So boom. You know what I mean? I start studying on porn. Then you're seeing the way that these porn dudes are treating these women, and the women look like they enjoy it. You know what I mean? And you see the way they're talking to them, and the women look like they enjoy it. So you're like, oh man, women like to be, essentially abused, both verbally and mentally, during sex, as well as physically, it seemed. You know what I mean? So I took those three things away from watching porn. And it just reached to a point where I was like, you know what? All right, enough is enough of this. I'm bored of that. So I barely watched. I think the other day I might have watched. I watched porn for the first. I watched like a half-hour porn for the first time in like 20 years, and it was weird. It was completely weird because what I tell myself is now I don't need to watch because I make porn. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? My own private porn. That's what it's come to for me. You know what I mean? I put myself up to a level to where I was like, I need to, like I'm a guy that's never jerked off, and I not saying that if anyone else here jerks off, that's fine. That's your thing. Do your thing. I just never felt the need for it. I always told myself, why would I need to pleasure myself when I can just get a girl to do it? You know what I mean? So that was just my policy. When I go to jail, I don't jerk off. You know what I mean? I wake up wet, you know, wet and cold every once in a while, like once a week. But it wasn't for me doing that. You know what I mean? I don't proactively seek to make myself copulate. But getting back to the whole peer pressure and the whole point of sex and the reason why I know it's fundamentally based in reproduction. First off, health class, they show you like the sperm, meaning the egg. Then they show you how a baby is made. They show you the inside of like the fallopian tubes and all these things. But if you notice, health class doesn't go into how to handle relationships. Sexual relationships. They tell you either abstinence or pass out condoms, but they never really teach you about the whole, the ins and outs, the nuances of a relationship, of a sexual relationship or a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. They leave that up to you to figure out for yourself. Huh? You know what I mean? It's weird how health class goes about that, which is what also led to my theory of the government's behind all this. Because if they actually taught you that sex is really about reproduction, that even the very fact that you feel pleasure from sex is no more than nature's way of making sure and ensuring that you continue to engage in sex, to continue to engage in continuing the game of, because in order to, remember I told you that the cosmos and life is a game now. It's a challenge. It's a game that we have to win. A game of hide and seek. The truths are hidden in plain sight right in front of us, but we have to seek them in order to find them. And this is our number one blinders is sex. Because I noticed for myself, I'm completely unintelligent during the heat of passion. I am completely at a loss of intelligence. You know what I mean? I'm just completely immersed in the emotions of it. Oh, this feels awesome. This feels good. This feels too good. Oh no, it's too late. And then next thing you know, it's over. The girl's looking at you disappointed, and you want to tell her, hey, it's of you. You were feeling too good. You know what I mean? But she ain't trying to hear that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? She's looking at it as what she's been taught. What size are you? Hold on, first off. If you run into a dude that's like this, run. My bad. When I said what size are you, you know what I mean? You better make me orgasm. Girls are worried about orgasms. And this is things that they're taught. No girl grows up thinking these things. They're taught this the same way how no boy grows up thinking, oh, I need to go chase sex. No, you're taught this. Now, here's what it is. Who puts arousal in you? Who puts arousal in you? Did you do that? No. That's nature has embedded that algorithm, that function within us. So when you get aroused, that's not you doing that, man. That's not you doing that, ma'am or sir. You know what I mean? That's just a part. That's what nature's way of ensuring that you do one of your primary purposes, which is to continue the generations. Um, if we if we look at the fact that no matter how, let's say you have great sex with someone, a complete stranger, having casual sex with them, and you really like them, or for a man, he might, oh man, I don't want to get all scientific. We'll say cunnilingus, and or eat her out is the slang on the street. Let's say no matter how good you have sex with this woman, let's say you do the works. You go through the whole process. You eat her out. It's not real good. You're the best kisser. She thinks you're the best kisser. You have the biggest, longest daddy schlong in the world. You're long dong foo. You know what I mean? You're that kind of dude. You know what I mean? You ain't Bruce Lee. You're long dong foo. You know what I mean? King dong, long dong. You know what I mean? All of that doesn't guarantee she'll love you. Doesn't guarantee she'll call you the next day. The next day doesn't guarantee that she's even gonna hold you in high esteem. You know how you can have sex with somebody and see them in the mall maybe like a year later, and it'll be like it never happened. She won't even look your way, or maybe she's trying to look for attention and you don't even want to look her way, for whatever reason. Because there's a whole bunch of reasons why that happens. You know what I mean? But it doesn't guarantee love. It doesn't guarantee anything. That's the point here. And guess why? Because it doesn't mean anything. Sex, the only thing sex means is that it is a process to reproduction. I hate to be the one, once again, to bring it back to the fundamental purposes of the universe, but that's what it all comes down to. That's the reason why we have such a big misunderstanding of sex. Like, okay, if you want to say, well, listen, if it's for reproduction, why are there homosexuals? Well, arousal, if you have a misunderstanding of your arousal, then yes, you'll say that, hey, I am to have sex for just the point of pleasure, which is what we're told. Remember, one of the themes of our society, and it was a theme before even the society started, is that sex is for pleasure. We focus in on the pleasure aspect of sex, knowing darn well that the actual fundamental point to sex is reproduction. Meaning that unless you're intending to have a child with the person you're about to have sex with, I don't want to say you probably shouldn't do it, just don't do it. Unless you are intending to or I shouldn't say just don't do it alone, because let's say the person's tube's tied and it's strictly for pleasure. At that point, then it's just for pleasure. But that's why you have homosexuality, because they're looking at sex from a purely arousal point of view. This is why you have pedophilia, because they look at sex from a purely arousal point of view. That's why you have bestiality, because they look at sex from a purely point of view. One of our fundamental, whether it be a plant, fish, bird, human being, any other animal, one of our fundamental programs is to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Now, being that we are a cerebral species, there are some times that seeking pleasure is actually detrimental. So it's not the wise choice to do in some cases to seek pleasure. So you can reason that out. You know what I mean? Like, say sugar. I like sugar. I like sweets. But guess what? I know too much of it is bad for my body. So I try to avoid artificial sweeteners. I try to make sure that I intake honey now, or some kind of natural juices, natural sugars like from strawberries, oranges, pineapple, what do you what, honeydew, things like that. I try to make sure that I only take in as small amounts of artificial sweeteners as possible, because we're finding out that it's cancerous. Same thing with pain. Sometimes we may be programmed to avoid pain, but because we're a cerebral species, we know that there are some situations that come up where avoiding pain is actually not the smart thing to do. Where going through pain is actually going to produce something pleasurable. Let's take lifting weights or working out, exercising. It's painful, but that's actually where you get your gains from. You actually don't begin to build new muscle or become toned unless you go through pain in that situation. And that's just one example. There's plenty of examples where avoiding pain would actually be detrimental to you, and where seeking pleasure would actually be detrimental to you. So, in that, and being a cerebral species, we're bigger than just the normal animals that live off of pleasure, seek, or excuse me, avoid pain, seek pleasure. Like, that's what a plant is doing. It's off of that basic fundamental function. It knows that pleasure for it is to get sunlight on its leaves, so it will slowly, if you move your plant away from the window, as I've done with one of my plants, it will slowly turn itself, angle itself towards the light, where it can get more light. No matter how minute or infinitesimal amount of light it is getting, it will make sure that it puts itself in that position. It positions its leaves in that manner, in that way, in order to receive as much light as its leaves could possibly get. That would be it seeking pleasure. To avoid pain, it angles towards the pleasure. That's paradoxical, by the way. Man, how does that keep happening, Jason? That you keep are able to draw lines and connect truths to the paradox. Man, could it be that I'm right? Who knows? But paradoxical truths. Axiom, balance the spectrum. Anyway, so imagine if you told pedophiles and rapists that the reason why you have sex is a false one. It's because that you have a misunderstanding of your arousal. That's the actual point of you becoming is to reproduce. If we taught people that in the health class, there goes the porn industry. There goes the whole sex being taboo. But you know who helps keep this system going? And this is why I attack Christianity. Yep. That good old religion. Give me that old time religion. Actually, take it out in the backyard and shoot it. Take it out in the backyard and shoot it. I've already told you, capitalism cannot exist without religion. Not our version of capitalism. In order to have our version of capitalism, you've got to give people, because even Jesus just made it a little too easy, or what they try to say Jesus says. Because I don't believe Jesus said any of that stuff in the Bible. You know what I mean? Do I believe that there was a Jesus? Yes, of course I believe there was a Jesus. But he had to have been talking about paradoxical truths. It can't be the stuff that they're feeding you in the Bible. Because the Bible is basically telling you, without even taking account of the fact that God has embedded you with arousal. The Bible completely forgoes that. It tells you that you're a natural born sinner. As if you're the one who put arousal in yourself. Oh, you can't have premarital sex. How about telling me that I'm going to be getting hard at 13 random things at random moments? You're there, you're hugging on your mom's chest. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you're getting erect. Your teacher walks by, an F on a paper, all of a sudden you're going to wreck. Shoot, you're just walking along in the park talking to your boy. Boom, all of a sudden you're like, did the Bible teach you, prepare you for that moment? No, but it wants to tell you all the things not to do. That's a little strange. It's like it's teaching you to be anti-human, which is why it sets an unattainable expectation upon you that you'll never reach. That's the reason why you have so many people who profess to be Christian, profess to be religious, living completely opposite to it when they think no one is looking. Have I just solved another mystery? You're welcome. But this is what we're going with. This is what we're dealing with in the world. This is what we're dealing with in the world. I know that this is unpopular to say, but truth normally is. Truth is unpopular to say. Truth is unpopular. I've already said that the limits of intelligence is emotions. And guess when is one of the most emotional moments? When you're engaged in sex. It's called the heat of passion. Really, we need to just call it the moment of stupid, because during it, it's like you're in a whole nother world. You're in a whole nother section of your brain that has nothing to do with intelligence. And by the time it's over, if it's someone that you don't like, you're like, oh man, it's a regret. It instantly becomes a regret. At the moment of copulation, it instantly becomes a regret. You start all that great feeling of endorphins that were being released, all that great wonderful pleasure that you were immersed in and lost in for that moment. Because to me, when a man has achieves an orgasm, that's like the worst part of sex. You know what I mean? Like, women think, oh man, this guy quit early. No. Don't you think I wanted to keep that going? Now, listen, if it's someone that you don't like being with, yes, you do want out of there fast. That one I won't lie. That is like a Jedi mind trick that you're telling yourself, please, let's get this done and over with. Get this, please, done and over with. And I'm sure women feel that as well. Don't think I'm patting men on the back on this. Because all that stuff that I'm saying about what men are feeling, women are feeling it too. You know what I mean? Women make bad choices when it comes to sex. They wake up the next moment and realize after it's over and be like, oh man, you're not who I wanted to really do that with. I was drunk. Or, you know what I mean? Like, women go through all that. They regret some of the men. You know what I mean? In fact, you guys know it. She won't call you back the next day. I mean, she doesn't call you back. Or if you try to call her, that's when the dude becomes a stalker. That's when the dude becomes a stalker. He starts trying to call her back. Hey, what's wrong with her? Did I do a great job? I thought I did a great job. Listen, that don't matter, man. It could be, you could be King Long Dong. And the guy that she likes is Mr. Mighty Mouse. In that when it comes to you know what I mean, in that area, in size. But if she has more emotional feeling towards that gentleman, then hey, you mean nothing. You were a mistake, and you need to live with that. That's another thing health classes don't teach us around here. They don't teach men how to handle rejection. Men have been taught that women are like their property. So goes the patriarchy. Which, by the way, a patriarchy is man love is fundamentally based in homosexuality. That's what man love is about. If you want to set up a society where a society is based solely on men, on the enhancement and advancement and the worship of men, hello, homosexuality is not only the base, but it is not only the basis of that, but it also is going to continue to flourish in said society. So when I hear people talk, oh, they're showing a lot of homosexual stuff on TV these days. No, it's just more complex version. It's just a more complex version of yesterday. which was the fundamental, simpler way of homosexuality. Look in the Bible. Homosexuality didn't just arrive yesterday. And that's why I love when I hear people say, oh man, they're putting all this stuff on MTV now and it's all over the TV now. Hello, what do you think's in the Bible? Sodom and Gomorrah? Where do you think the word sodomite come from? Where do you think the word sodomize, excuse me, that's the word I meant. Where do you think sodomize come from? You know what I mean? That's from the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Men were having sex with men have been having sex with men for a long time now. It happens in prisons, and not just prisons. They try to make it famous for prisons. You know what I mean? But really, if we really want to take it there, we could go all the way back to Greece, Rome, the elite. The elite, that's where it comes from. The elite. That was a favorite practice of the elite. They were men lovers. What's my man's name from Alexander the Great? Watch out for anything with that is preceded or followed by great. Alexander the Great is notorious for being a male lover. What's the name of in Greece times, in Rome times, boy lovers. It's called pederasty. Boy loving was like a normal thing for a long, long time. Not like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I'm talking about like that was their culture. They would only knock up the women just so they could continue because they realized that it was about reproduction. But for the pleasure aspect of sex, they would turn to their little young boys. Their young boys were their best friends, and their best friends their young boys. And these young men would not think anything because they're young. So they're being influenced by this, and the older men would just like raise them like this, and that's why even today you can take it from today. Father or uncle molests their son or nephew. That son either becomes a strong advocate against such acts when they become an adult, or they continue that same behavior and they become a pedophile themselves. They become a predator, a pedophiliac predator themselves. And that's why you have it lasting all of this time, all through Europe, all through England, all through all of these great manly empires. That's why when I hear dudes bragging about being a manly man, when they tell you about masculinity, it's based in homosexuality. I'm ready any person wants to step to be about that topic, I'm more than ready. I hope you got your facts with you. Because notice, I am not coming at you without no coherent reasoning behind it. 2 + 2 = 4. 2, Chuck Woolery, plus 2 = 4. Actually, Chuck Woolery used to be 2 and 2. 2 and 2. We'll be right back at 2 and 2. You know what I mean? But yeah, 2 + 2 = 4. That is what we're dealing with here. That is the reason why you have so much rape in society. That is the reason why the guy who raped that intelligent girl on Stanford's campus only got 6 months, but he did actually only 3 months. That is the reason why his dad felt so comfortable in writing a letter that stated, "Why should my son's life be ruined by 20 minutes of action?" That's the reason why you have some judges telling some girls, "Are you sure? Are you sure he raped you? Couldn't you have wore something different? Why couldn't you have kept your legs closed?" This is what judges just in the last year have said to women who've gotten sexually assaulted. Don't forget, obviously, not only did the father feel so what's his name, Brock, I forgot his last name. He's not even worth remembering, but you know what he is, because he's a horrible, horrible human being, but he got raised thinking that. Let's not forget, this man did a cost-benefit analysis before he went and raped this woman. He thought to himself, can I get away with this? First and foremost, that's what he thought before he raped this girl. Then he rapes her by a dumpster in Stanford University. He's a star swimmer there. This girl's a star student, and he felt comfortable enough to rape her by a garbage dump. Only in a patriarchy would he have done the cost benefit analysis and realized, you know what? It's not really going to hurt me. And boy, did he do good calculation, didn't he? He knew his daddy would come to his defense, and I guess he knew that his dad had some influence because it sure worked. I know if my black behind goes and rapes somebody, I wouldn't want to because I just don't. Hold on. See that right there? But anyway, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to because that's not a challenge. That's once again, that's like hunting deer. That's the reason why I'm telling you that they always show us hunting deer and hunting ducks and hunting, because they want to teach us how to be bullies. They teach men how to be bullies early. That's the reason why men can't handle rejection in this country. They fall apart when they're rejected. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do, as if there's not a whole world of fish out there. Excuse me, I don't mean to refer to women as fish. That's a bad example. That's what I've been taught. But there's a whole world of women out there. There's 51% of them in this country to 40% men. So stop crying. Another thing, what's the heterosexuals' problem with homosexuals? First off, or next point, the problem with homosexuals. I'm looking at this from a positive standpoint. That means more women for the rest of us straight men. So why would I want, when there's, you know how many men kill other men over women? Do you know how many men have died over women, are sitting in prison right now over women, are dead broke right now over women, have lost their jobs and gave up everything over women? Do you know how many men have made stupid decisions based on women? So why on earth are you mad that there are men becoming homosexuals? Let them go about doing their thing. That's more women for the rest of us. Is my math off? All right, that aside. The problem is we can't have a society that does not understand its arousal and why there's arousal. We cannot continue to have the society of pederasty. Yes, pedophilia, whatever you want to call it, but it is pederasty. I'm going to base it in its fundamental form from ancient Rome, when everything was cool to have boy lovers, and tell you that it hasn't changed. There is some situations where I knew a guy that like molested 5 girls just last year. And this guy got, I forgot, the judge told him if he does it again, that's when he's going to smack him. But he basically only had to do 3 months. You know what the dude did within a month of getting out? Do you know what he did within a month of getting out? He finds himself, and this dude's married now. Mind you, this dude is married with kids. He goes and finds some other chick. Acts like he's trying to date her. This chick's got a kid. Don't you know that he had his hand up this kid's diaper and said, "Oh, my hand must have slipped. My hand must have slipped." That's the reason why you ever see that show To Catch a Predator? Did they look like they ever ran out of, did they ever look like they ran out of guys to show up at those doors with candy, champagne, and condoms in pockets? Like, they know that they're going to see this young, tiny child that's like 13, 12, or 11, or 9. And that was a 9-month-old baby, by the way. It was a baby that guy did that to. We're on to another story now. But, and these aren't bum dudes. These are dudes with great jobs. You ever see that show, To Catch a Predator? YouTube that stuff, man. These are guys with great jobs, standing in the community. Like I said before, there was a guy on the Congress that just in November got his sentence knocked down. I think he got 2 years probation for molesting some little boy. Like, that's what we're dealing with here. And let me tell you why Congress gave him that. Do you think it's based solely on embarrassment? No, because they get it. They understand. That's the reason why you got guys that do more time for selling. Let's say you get caught like I want to say you get caught with like an 8 ball of coke. There's a high chance that you're gonna do more time than a guy who just molested a baby. There's a high chance that you're gonna do more time than a guy who just molested some young teenager, like a budding teenager, coming into their wonder years, into their informative years. All because they were not taught very early in life about their arousal, about the real point to sex, about the real point, how to control, understand why that is embedded in you, that it's not your fault that you get aroused and you shouldn't feel weird in any kind of way about it. But no, instead you got people saying, oh, I was born this way, or I was born that way, and it's the no, 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 no. No, 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 no. If someone was born gay, then they wouldn't have any sperm. Let me put it like that. Your penis would be able to get hard on its own without sperm. Let me tell you why. The very point of sperm is to do what? Link up with an egg. So if you're born gay, then you shouldn't have any sperm. If nature made you gay, right? That's the argument, right? Then you shouldn't have any sperm. Yo, let me know when I'm not killing this video. I think I'm killing this one. Like, I'm going deep in this one. I'm like, hold on, let me watch it. Ken Griffey, baby. Hold on, let me get that. Or Barry Bonds. You know what I mean? Pool host. Who's my guy like this right here? Is that Ichiro? No, that's not Ichiro. That's John Kruk. That's John Kruk, baby. Anyway, but that's how I feel about this subject, man. Like, I'm so feeling myself on that one. But we need to get a hold on what's really going on here. The book's coming out soon, Wealth of People, where we're just gonna go into all these subjects that I broach every day. And I mean, I'm just giving you freestyle versions of them. Because like I said, it's hard for me to sit at home writing my book, realizing what I'm realizing and the world happening out there. And it would be wrong of me if I didn't speak up. Rape, pedophilia, bestiality, and all sexual immorality is being purveyed by the state, by the government. It is in their best interest. It is in their financial interest to keep things this way, to keep sex taboo. And as I've already told you, Christianity, it might as well be the limit. We're going, remember, more complex. Remember, I told you, the formula is this. Tomorrow will always be more complex than yesterday unless there's a drastic shift in the way people think or in the way society is conducted. But since there is no such thing, that has not happened yet. Society continues to get more and more complex, but it's all based on the fundamental same twisted and warped tenets of exploitation, lies, and sexual deviance. I'm trying for you people. I love you guys. Hey, you don't have to like the truth. And I'm not here to be popular. I'm just here to speak truth. That's it. Backed up by facts. No faith, no, oh, resort to that. And I'm willing to take all questions and bring any challenger you will. I will bring any challenger you will, please, so that we can live stream a debate. And I'll prove to you basically how I can break them apart in their arguments quickly. You have a good day.